Hey there people, how's it going? This is Cross the Rubicon channel. I'm just sitting here in North Canterbury on this beautiful evening, and it really is just paradise right now. There's not a drop of wind, and it's a great time to, well, have a glass of wine, read a good book. You might be seeing this back to front. The Great Divide, the story of New Zealand and its treaty. But anyway, I'll just ad lib and just take it as it goes. Now, I've been reading this and I've read it twice over, maybe 3 times over. Took lots of notes. And just the other day we had our National Day in New Zealand. Many people don't celebrate our National Day, the 6th of February, which is called the Waitangi Treaty, or the Waitangi Day, as they call it in New Zealand. Because it's become, over the years, a day of protest, and all we seem to see on the news is, well, radical extremist Maori protesting and, you know, making demands and fools themselves against prime ministers and politicians who won't give them what they want. Now, the Treaty of Waitangi was signed 183 years ago in Waitangi, which is at the far north of New Zealand. And it's caused a lot of problems, but it has, especially in the last, say, maybe 50 to maybe 30 years, caused lots of issues. I've been here for 21 years, and as you know, I know about this because I've done a lot more reading than most New Zealanders about the Waitangi Treaty and what happened. Now, the treaty was written by Busby, and he was the first New Zealand resident. It was written by him because Captain Hobson was taken ill, and he asked if Busby could write the treaty and he would look over it and basically sign it. That's what happened. Now, the treaty that's used today by radical extremist Maori and the treaty process, which is costing this country billions upon billions upon billions and causing so much division in this country. It was the treaty that's being used is the English version, and that was dated on the 3rd of February 1840. Now, that was just a draft, but it was one of the initial drafts. The next day, on the 4th of February, another draft was written. The final draft was written on the 4th of February. But unfortunately, the final draft went missing on the 4th of February. Now, when the final draft was written on the 4th of February, and it was written by Busby, it was checked by a few people, that educated people, the Williams brothers, who were missionaries, Williams' sons, Captain Hobson, and other people, and they all agreed that this is right. They checked the one that was the day before, they rejigged a few things, and then they got it right on the 4th of February, and they all agreed that this is perfect. So what happened then? Henry Williams and his brother and Henry Williams' son, they got to work, because they were missionaries, and they got to work translating it from the final draft on the 4th of February into Maori, because they spoke Maori. Now, there was no Maori language, so they wrote it as they knew the Maori language, so they can repeat it to the chiefs 2 days later, on the 6th of February. So they translated it into Maori. And remember, the treaty has to be written in the native language, right? So the original treaty, or the real treaty of Waitangi, is in Maori, not in English. But the one they're using today is the English written version that was dated on the 3rd of February. I hope you're following me. So the one that was written, the final draft, that was written on the 4th, superseded the one that was written on the 3rd, the one that's being used today and has been since 1975. Okay? So, the day after, they wrote it up agreed, that's perfect, and they translated it into Maori. And then they presented it to Maori on the 6th of February. And that's the one Maori signed. They signed the Maori version of the treaty. I hope you're following me, because this is quite difficult to do. And it's causing a lot of issues today, huge issues today, and it's costing this country billions upon billions upon billions. Never mind social issues it's causing. Now, I'm just looking at the book here. The Treaty of Waitangi, the English version based on draft from the 3rd of February 1840. That is the one they're using today, and they have been since 1975. Okay. The Maori version of the treaty is the one they should be looking at. The one they copied the Maori version of went missing, and it was found, would you believe, in 1989. So from 1840 to 1989 it was missing, and they found it in a cupboard in an old deer's home. I think her name was Ethel or something, Littlewood, and she lived in Pukekohe, I think I'm saying that right, which is just south of Auckland, in 1989. And they found the original draft where the Maori version was copied from, and that became the Littlewood Treaty. Now, what I'm going to read to you right now is the Littlewood Treaty version. It's been checked, it's been tested, and it is authentic. The Littlewood Treaty is authentic. But Maori extremists, Maori politicians, and people, well, who've got their hands in the pot, they don't want to know, because it doesn't give them enough. But I'm going to read it to you. The Littlewood Treaty version, the 4th of February, 1840. Preamble. Her Majesty Victoria, Queen of England, in her gracious consideration for the chiefs and people of New Zealand, and her desire to preserve to them their land and maintain peace and order among them, has been pleased to appoint an officer to treat with them for the cession of sovereignty of their country and of the islands adjacent to the Queen. Seeing that many of Her Majesty's subjects have already settled in the country and are constantly arriving, and that is desirable for their protection as well as the protection of the natives, to establish a government among them. Her Majesty has accordingly been pleased to appoint me, William Hobson, a captain in the Royal Navy, to be governor of such parts of New Zealand as may now, should I say, or hereafter be ceded to Her Majesty, and proposes to the chiefs of the Confederation of the United Tribes of New Zealand and the other chiefs to agree to the following articles. Article 1st. The chiefs of the Confederation of the United Tribes and the other chiefs who have not joined the Confederation cede to the Queen of England forever the entire sovereignty of their country. Article 2nd. The Queen of England confirms and guarantees to the chiefs and tribes and to all the people of New Zealand the possession of their lands, dwellings, and all their property. But the chiefs of the Confederation and the other chiefs grant to the chief's queen the exclusive right of purchasing such land as the proprietors thereof may be disposed to sell at such prices as shall be agreed upon between them and the persons appointed by the Queen to purchase from them. Article 3rd. In return for the cession of sovereignty to the Queen, the people of New Zealand shall be protected by the Queen of England, and the rights and privileges of British subjects will be granted to them. Signed, William Hobson, Consul and Lieutenant Governor. Now we, the chiefs of the Confederation of the United Tribes of New Zealand, being assembled at Waitangi, and we, the other chiefs of New Zealand, having understood the meaning of these articles, accept of them and agree to them all, in witness whereof our names or marks are affixed, done at Waitangi on the 4th of February 1840. Now the Littlewood Treaty is an almost exact replica, it is an exact replica of the Maori version of the treaty. So if you translated it back, the Maori version, to English, you would get very near as damn it to the Littlewood Treaty. But this is being ignored by not only the government, but the radical extremists in government and near government and iwi up and down this land, because they stand to gain from a treaty that was signed the day before that one was written. As you know, if you write something on the 3rd of February and then you write something on the 4th because you're improving it, adding, taking away, whatever, the one you write the day after supersedes all that came before. But in New Zealand, it's not quite working out this way. And it's become very, very, very problematic for this country. We're being lied to by not only our elected politicians, but academics, historians, and radical Maori extremists in iwi up and down the country, and Maori extremist politicians not only in the Maori Party, but the National Party, the Greens, and the Labour Party. Right. I implore you to read this book, The Great Divide by Ian Wishart. And the treaties are all at the back. It gives you the one that's being used today, which is not the real version of the treaty. The Maori version of the treaty, which they should be using, but they don't. And it gives you the Littlewood Treaty, which should be used, but they won't use because, well, it doesn't give them enough. This is Cross the Rubicon channel. Please like, leave a comment, subscribe to my channel, and share this video everywhere. Okay, see you later.